Hey, what's up, nerds? It's Paul here at Radio Free Hammer Hall, and we have some news just coming out from the Games Workshop website. Now, a little bit of back information about what just happened. So, a whole bunch of things out of the Order Grand Alliance that would be going into, or theoretically be part of the factions that are getting rolled into Cities of Sigmar, a lot of those just went on last chance to buy on the Games Workshop website. What this typically means whenever we get a new book for an existing faction, it means that those models and war scrolls are usually going to be discontinued and they're not going to be included in the new book. So we have a pretty robust list of things here that are getting discontinued. Now, that doesn't necessarily always mean that the War Scroll is going to be gone if the model is getting discontinued. Sometimes it just means that there's a new sculpt coming. So that is a possibility with some of these, and as I go through them, I'll kind of give you my thoughts on which ones might just, it seems like there's something amiss with them showing up in this list. So, without further ado, what I'm going to do first is go through everything that just went on last chance to buy. And then I'm going to go through elves, dwarves, and free people on the website as well, just to give you an idea of what's actually still available, or what's going to be still available after all of these last chance to buy items are completely gone. Because there's a number of kits that have current war scrolls that have current points that are already out of production. So a lot of those have been speculated that they're going to be gone anyway. So I'm going to go through this and talk about my observations from it and what takeaways we might have from this. But in general, this is a pretty big indicator, number one, of what the new book is going to look like. And it's also an indication of how soon this book is coming, because this usually happens like right before the book goes on pre-order. So, or at least pretty close to the book going on pre-order. So I would expect probably either this week or next week we're going to start seeing previews from the book, and probably actually get the book in our hands maybe within a month or so. So without further ado, let's go down the line and see what is on last chance to buy. So the Wanderer's Spellweaver, Waywatcher, and Waystrider are all on last chance to buy. The Ironweld Arsenal Gunmaster, formerly the Free Guild Engineer, he is on last chance to buy. All of the different versions of the Warrior Priest sculpt, those are all on last chance to buy. The Witch Hunter, the Spell Weaver, Lore Master, Free Guild Archers, White Lion Chariot, Archmage, Free Guild General. And that is the dual kit for the Free Guild General that includes the one on foot, the one with Warhorse, and the stately War Banner bits. Our High Elf Chariot, that's a dual kit with the White Lions Chariot. Our Warrior Priest on Warhorse, which was formerly Luther Huss. Our Sword Masters, Dragon Blades, the Quarreler and Thunderer kit, the Skycutter Chariot, a couple of items that are not related to this, the Warscryer Citadel and the Slaves to Darkness Godsword and Warband. Not sure about what's up with the Warscryer Citadel, but I'm not shocked about the Slaves to Darkness Warband box. I think all of the rest of those have been gone for a while, like just sold out. So I think that might just be some hangers on that they still have in stock. All right, continuing on. One of the alternate sculpts for the Free Guild General on foot. Wayfinder, the Unforged, Dispossessed Warriors, the Dragon Lord and Archmage on Dragon kit, the War Altar of Sigmar, a couple of more sculpts of Warrior Priests, the Organ Gun and Cannon, the Dragon Noble, Glade Guard, and White Lions. So that is a pretty extensive list of things that are getting knocked off here. Now, what jumps out to me right at the beginning is both the White Lion Chariot and the White Lions being on this. I did anticipate those to get discontinued, just because it was a 2-unit faction, and I thought that was just going to get knocked off. Swordmasters are very duplicative with a lot of other units in all of the other factions that are in here. They just did the same thing as like a dwarf unit and a human unit and a dark elf unit and and on and on and on. There was like 5 versions of guys that have 2 attacks, hit on 3s, wound on 3s, rend 1 damage. Like there's like a ton of them. So I am not shocked that at least one of them is getting cut. Everything from Order Draconis is on the chopping block. The Quarrelers and Thunderers, those are basically just the dwarf version of the Free Guild Handgunners and Free Guild Crossbows. So again, it's duplicates of the same thing, so I don't think they just wanted to have so much of the same from faction to faction inside the book. The Free Guild Archers, same thing. There's a whole bunch of different archers, specifically like in the Elves, there's a lot of archers. Things I am a little surprised about. I was kind of surprised about the Gunmaster. He just seemed like he kind of had a role in there. Like he had the long rifle. Like that made him more useful than the Cogsmith in a lot of ways. And the Cogsmith was like good for following your war machines around and healing them. So I expect either to get a new sculpt for the Gunmaster or to get a radically changed War Scroll on the Cogsmith. I'm actually really surprised at all of the Devoted of Sigmar stuff that's in here. It's basically everything except the Flagellant kit. And as promised, let's flip over real quick to the website on the Free Guild, and Flagellants are there, but they are labeled as temporarily out of stock. So it's possible that those will go last chance to buy as well, because they're already out of stock. So basically all of Devoted of Sigmar hitting the chopping block, which is weird to me because that's the one that I would have expected to like get its own book. That seemed like one that just would really fit well into the mortal realms and have a place and be able to be expanded. So interesting that that's being discontinued. Out of the Wanderers, basically everything except the Nomad prints for heroes all got cut. That is a little bit surprising, just because it was nice to have a little bit of a variety of heroes. The Skycutters, that was also expected. That was one of the few units that were still in production out of Swifthawk agents. Most of that stuff was already gone. I'm surprised about the Free Guild General kits all being discontinued. Specifically because the Free Guild General on Warhorse is included in a mercenary company in the most recent General's Handbook. So either we're getting a new sculpt for the Free Guild General, or it's possible that it's just going to be some sort of miscommunication between like the GHB team and the Cities of Sigmar team. It's possible that they miscommunicated about what models were going to be included. The same thing for the organ gun and the cannon. Cannon just got a big points drop. Um, and the organ gun and cannon are both also in a mercenary company. So really odd that they're in there. I don't know how old those sculpts are. I'll tell you that those sculpts are pretty ugly. So I am not like sad that those are going on that count. Um, so let's take a look at elves, at the stuff that's here that is not on Last Chance to Buy. Uh, so we still have our Dark Elf Sorceress. We still have the Black Arc Fleet Master and the Assassin hanging out here. The Nomad Prince, as I mentioned already. Black Arc Corsairs, Drake Spawn Knights, Bleak Swords Dark Riders. So one of the things that was just untouched in this was all of the things that used to be part of Dark Elves. Those are all pretty untouched. What really got hit hard was things that used to be part of High Elves, which is very interesting. Going through this, the former High Elf kits that are still here, let me just scroll back up to the top and make sure that I'm not missing anything. These are all on Last Chance to Buy. So we don't start hitting things that were High Elf kits that are not on Last Chance to Buy and not being discontinued until we get down to Phoenix Guard, Sisters of the Watch, Shadow Warriors, the Phoenixes. Let's see if there's anything else. Yeah, that's all that's left out of High Elves is basically Phoenix Temple and Shadow Warriors. So interesting here that with everything that was previously discontinued and things that are on Last Chance to Buy right now, almost all of the High Elf army is gone, which to me is very surprising because of how popular that army was. That was a premier, Warhammer Fantasy Battles army for a long time. A lot of people love that army, and I'm very surprised that there's virtually nothing left that's coming out of that. Things that I'm surprised are still here: Charybdis and War Hydra, and the Sorceress on Black Dragon and Dreadlord on Black Dragon. Just really shocked that those are still in production at all. Because those are ugly kits. I don't like them, and at least up until now, their war scrolls have been bad. Hopefully, in the new world we're going to be in, those will be good. Looks like we're keeping the Scourge Runner Chariot and Drakesworn Chariot. Dark Riders, Bleak Swords, Drakespawn Knights are still here as well. Yeah, very, very interesting. That basically it looks like out of the elves, primarily we're looking at Dark Elves. And then out of Wood Elves, we lost most of the heroes. We're keeping Sisters of the Thorn and Wild Riders. We're keeping Sisters of the Watch. And it looks like that's about it. Everything else is either temporarily out of stock online or Last Chance to Buy. Wildwood Rangers are out of stock. Eternal Guard are out of stock. Those are both pictured on round bases, though. So those might be coming back. They might just be temporarily out of stock. Let's see. Glade Guard are gone. The Dragon Noble is gone. Alright, so let's flip over to Dwarves and see what we've still got here. We still have the Warden King. We still have the Rune Lord. And interesting going through this, all of the other models here, the Ironbreakers, Iron Drakes, Hammerers, and Longbeards, in their images on the website are all on round bases. And then the Quarrelers, Thunderers, and Unforged are all still pictured on square bases. Just kind of an interesting observation. The other interesting thing here, I'm not sure if I skipped over it or not, the Dwarf Warriors are also on Last Chance to Buy, which is very interesting. That's another one of those, like, they just got a points change in the last book, and everyone was scratching their heads about the points change. So maybe it means they're getting a new kit. Maybe it means they're just going away and there was some weird miscommunication about that. Maybe the GHB team just didn't know what the Free Cities team was doing and just changed points anyway. But it looks like we're going to be left with Longbeards, Hammerers, Iron Breakers, and Iron Drakes, which is very interesting. And our two heroes, which they're still both pictured on square bases, but I'm sure they're just going to be getting round bases in their boxes very soon. And then over to Free Guild, there's really not a lot here that is that strange. Yet, in thinking about it further with the Free Guild General, it may just be the guy on foot that's and on the horse that are getting discontinued, because we still have the Free Guild General on Griffin. So that may just be your go-to general for the army going forward. If all of the abilities stayed the same, I wouldn't hate that being our primary command ability for Free Guild. Yeah, so it looks like all of that stuff is gone. That's a lot of stuff gone. You just scroll up, see what else might be here. Looks like the Hellblaster Volley Gun and Hellstorm Rocket Battery kit are still here, but that would be all very little of like what's left out of Ironweld Arsenal. It would be them, Cogsmith, Gyrocopter, Gyro Bomber, and Steam Tank left out of there, which is kind of an odd combination of stuff. So I'm definitely surprised about the organ gun and the cannon being discontinued. Although those are very, very generic. I mean, not even high fantasy. I mean, those are fairly realistic units from the time period that, the old empire and dwarves were kind of based on in Europe. So they might have been just dumped because they're not high fantasy enough. Out of the rest of this, it's interesting what's here and what's gone. The Free Guild Archers, I'm not surprised about. They are aesthetically, they kind of don't go with the rest of Free Guild, and there's just a million archers. Like, Free Guild doesn't even make sense having archers because everything else is, more regimented stuff. It just, they didn't really make sense. So, a whole lot going Last Chance to Buy. What does this mean? What does all of this look like post Free Cities? If this is what this means, that these things are getting discontinued, it looks like the elf factions are going to basically be mostly just dark elves, which is very interesting. And a few kits from wood elves, and a couple of kits from High Elves. And the High Elves are basically just the Phoenix Temple, Phoenix Guard, and the two Phoenixes. Very interesting with those choices of what's going to be sticking around. Out of the dwarves, I mean, it's nothing really that exciting going on here. Um, I mean, the Unforged, like, I don't think any. Well, first of all, nobody was really playing Dispossessed anyway. And within that, I don't know why the Unforged was still there. He was basically just an old Slayer hero. I don't know why he's even still there. Um, I'm a little confused about the Dwarf Warriors, but that's not really that exciting. Um, Again, that's also like Free Guild Guard with Sword and Shield are basically the same thing as Dwarf Warriors, so they just don't need that much duplication across all the lines. That does, however, leave us with really just Iron Drakes out of our Dispossessed that would be shooting units out of an army that used to be notoriously a shooting oriented army. And then most of Free Guild sticking around. So, very interesting developments. This probably is an indication of what the book is going to look like. It's certainly possible that some of these things going last chance to buy, it might not mean anything for some of them. It might mean some things are getting new kits. It may mean some things are just going away. I think there's going to be a lot of high elf players that are going to be running around screaming like their hair's on fire, because basically that whole army is squatted at this point, if this is an indication of the way things are going. On the flip side, I mean, if you like that aesthetic, it counts as in conversions is, have at it. Hey, there's a million opportunities for that. I think this book is going to be, the book that launched a million conversions. I I suspect people that like dwarves are going to make dwarf versions of everything. People that like Free Guild are going to make human versions of everything. People that like high elves are going to make high elf versions of everything. And we're not going to see, I don't think, a lot of people actually putting like elves, dwarves, and humans on the table, like it mixed together aesthetically. I have a feeling people are just kind of going to go in the line that they like and convert everything else. So to a certain extent, I think this is a lot of consolidation of war scrolls and a lot of, I mean, I hate to say it basically squatting of high elves. So that's all I got for now, guys. I will keep reporting on the news as we get it, but that's what we got so far. We have more than 30 kits. Well, actually, it's not actually 30 kits, because a bunch of these are actually doubles, like the Thunderers and Quarrelers. So, probably around 30 different kits being discontinued, going to last chance to buy at least, ahead of the launch of the Cities of Sigmar book. It's starting to shape up to be really interesting. It looks like our only magic is going to be Collegiate Arcane and the Black Elf Sorceress. Dark Elf Sorceress. All of the other wizards are gone, basically, and I guess the Phoenixes, I think those guys are wizards. Not totally sure. I don't know my elves that well. So very interesting that of what's going, and all of Devoted of Sigmar seems to be going. So anyway, I am going to be signing off for now. As I get more news, I will be reporting on it and giving you guys my thoughts. Until then, I'll see you all later. And don't panic.